We're on recording now.
All right.
1, 3, 2, 1. Hey, we're here for another episode of my brand new YouTube channel show, The Rock Fantasy Files. I believe this is episode 6, not 666, but 6. And I got a special guest who agreed to come on the show. His name is Alex Bouks.
Yeah.
Am I pronouncing it right? I wasn't a Bouks. There's a
It's Bouks. It's Bouks. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he is currently a guitarist and one of my favorite bands, death metal band, Immolation, which bring it to the table every time you see Immolation. Of course, I've known Ross and Rob for years because they were always in New York City. Any metal show we'd go in the city to see, like any death metal show, or even not even death metal, thrash metal, whatever. Rob and Ross would always show up to support the other bands, and I thought that was really special. Like BB Kings, Gramercy, wherever you go. I know that Ross moved out of the area. I think he lives up in like Rochester now.
Yeah, he's outside of Rochester now.
But anyhow, welcome to the show, and
thanks for having me.
And I just want to ask you guys, what were you doing, and what were you planning for 2020, and how the pandemic affected those plans, if any?
Well, definitely affected us. I mean, we're working on the new record,
Okay.
the writing of the new record. And we only had some festivals booked for the year, but we were waiting to find out when we got in the studio. That way we could tell the label, like, hey, we're in the studio now, let's work on some tours or whatnot. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we have 9 songs completed for the new record.
I can't wait to hear them.
Yeah, so right now we're going to keep writing, and hopefully we can get in the studio soon. But yeah, obviously because of the virus, it just put a halt on everything. So
sure.
As far as getting together, because we were supposed to get together and rehearse and go over the new songs and all that kind of stuff, and then get the rest of it written, and then get in the studio, obviously, and record the record. And the virus hit, and here we are. So
yeah, I hate to say, but you hear those commercials. We're all in this together. We're all in the same boat, even though it seems like more of us are divided. Everything with the political stance in the country right now.
It's a
I
shame.
hope everything can mend up. But I was going to go to one of the festivals you were booked, and I was really psyched. I don't travel that much because I'm getting older. I'm 59 now, and I got the store.
Right.
I'm just busy with this, and my wife's been in ill health for a long time, so we don't get away. But I had bought tickets for that Psycho Las Vegas.
Oh yeah,
You guys were on that, and when I saw that lineup today, it was like in it was like January. I remember being in here fixing up my new shop, and I saw it, and I'm like, fuck it was like $199. I'm like, yeah, I'm going back to Vegas. I haven't been out there in a few years. I used to go to trade shows, but that was a killer lineup.
Yeah, I was looking forward to it. Hopefully it all pans out next year.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping, I'll be on my retirement tour like Kiss, maybe.
Yeah. I'm kind of on mine too, I think. We'll see how long it lasts.
You're way younger than me.
Yeah, we got about 10 years on each other, I guess, something like that.
Yeah. I felt like I was on my retirement tour, getting to see. I used to go to so many shows, and I have another friend on the East Coast, Chris Allo, that the writer you may have met Chris before or interviewed with him, and he was doing like so many tours. I'm like, we talked during the pandemic now. It's like, well, at least we're older and we got to see all these shows.
Yeah.
We went to that Slayer final tour so many times, and I was constantly, you would see me out in the city.
Yeah.
But so maybe I can ask you a little bit. A lot of people may not be familiar with Alex, and what you were, other than Immolation, you were in Incantation, and maybe you want to give us a little rundown of how it started out with you and how you got into music and how you got into playing bands.
Well, I started playing music in 1986, and my original band was a band called Infamy, and then we kind of morphed into the band Gorephobia.
Yeah.
And that was in the late 80s, and that was the beginning of the early death metal scene. That was us, Immolation, Incantation, Mortician, so yeah, it was just kind of us four, you know, like we were, I guess, the little circle of the four bands, and then obviously there was like Suffocation afterwards, and Morpheus Descends, who we were discussing earlier, and stuff like that, and from up in New York.
Yeah,
But
Morpheus is from my hometown. We were talking about that before we went on air today, and Morpheus Descends, of course, is from Middletown, still active,
yeah,
and friends of the shop, of course. You know, Kenny
Sam
and
was my Sam from Morpheus was my best man at my wedding, actually. You know,
awesome.
yeah, yeah. So, but yeah. So I mean, started. But as far as getting into music, it was you know, I grew up with, you know, rock and roll from the '60s from my father and stuff. So it was like the Beatles and, you know, the Rolling Stones and Jimi Hendrix and the
Sure.
Moody Blues, Neil Young, stuff like that. A lot of, and even like folk music like Joan Baez and things like that. And you know, but then I got into more hard rock, I guess, which was like Sabbath, Purple, Zeppelin, you know,
Oh yeah, all the
UFO,
classics. Yeah.
you know, yeah, stuff like that. Scorpions, you know, stuff like that from
Yeah.
my uncles. And I got to see my first concert was Queen in the late '70s, I guess.
Wow,
And
that's interesting.
my uncle took me to that, and but that just kind of set me off. And then you know, I discovered heavy metal, which was like Maiden and Priest, and
Sure.
you know, that was set me off on my way. So.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was talking to somebody else from the metal world, and I forget who it was now, but they said their first show was a Queen show, and I
That's
never got to
awesome.
see Queen. I liked Queen a lot in the late '70s, and then I kind of, you know, grew out of them. And Queen had such an upsurgence with that film. One of the
Yeah, yeah,
hottest bands in my record store. I mean, after last year with that movie coming up, I was selling tons of Queen records.
yeah,
Still,
yeah. They're
still
still
doing
one of my
well,
favorite bands.
actually.
Yeah, and I'm a huge Brian May fan. He's one of my
Oh yeah.
favorite guitar players, of course. But yeah, I mean, that's all the music I probably listen to the most. Though, is the music I grew up with, obviously, which is
Okay.
mainly '70s rock. You know, so
Okay. And
yeah.
you spent how many years in Incantation? How many albums did you put out with Incan?
I joined the band in 2007 and left the band in 2014. So we did 2 records. We did Vanquish and Vengeance. We did what's Dirges of Elysium, I think was the other one. There was a
Yes.
few other like 7 inches and
Yeah, yeah, sure.
stuff we did too. But
Yeah.
you know, it was a good time in the band, and you know, they're still, you know, good friends of mine and stuff like that. And I've known John, you know, 30 plus years, I
Sure.
guess, we've been friends. So you know, it was definitely a cool experience for sure. And
I
I'm
have
proud of
pictures
this.
of Incantation and John here in the store. I was looking over it like when we were setting up in here, and there's a picture of Incantation here. I don't know, mid '94 or something like that. I
Yeah,
got some pictures of Immolation doing like an in-store here in the early '90s too.
yeah, I know they.
Yeah, because they were here once, and yeah, you know, we go back with the death metal in the metal roots around here with you know, Morpheus, of course, would bring a lot of guys in town. Ralph Tambora, you may know, but did some art, you know, had Chrissy stayed over around here at one time, heading out to a Milwaukee metal fest. Yeah, yeah. So what's some of your favorite Immolation songs to perform? Do you have any, or is this just
I you know, I really enjoy playing new stuff. Obviously, the last
sure?
record, I think they're a lot of fun to play the songs. You know, I would say I prefer more the newer material. Some of the older stuff could be a little bit more noodly, you know, so kind
Yeah.
of the newer stuff is just a little bit more catchy, I guess. So
That
it goes
Atonement
over with the
record.
audience a little bit better, I think.
That
You know, so.
Atonement record was definitely in my top, you know, 5 albums for the year it came out. I might have even been in the top 1 or 2. I don't have my list in front of me, but I got to catch you guys last year. I didn't catch the one tour for some reason, and I forget what when you played the Gramercy. I think it was with Soulfly. I didn't make that one.
Oh yeah, that was with the Cavalieras. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then I went, but I did go up. We drew on the Decibel tour. You didn't play in New York City, which I thought was a travesty, but you
Yeah.
joined the tour at the Palladium, and me and a couple of the kids that were, hang
Yeah, I
out.
saw you there. Yeah.
Yeah, we came up and we were right up front. Yeah, it's Immolation, so good live.
Yeah, thank you. We
And
tried.
the whole style of with Ross and Rob and with the guitar, it's an experience. If you haven't checked out Immolation, if we ever are allowed to go out and play in bands again and fucking have shows, please go see Immolation if you get a chance.
Yeah, we hope to be out, hopefully next year. I mean, hopefully,
Yeah,
some kind of vaccine or
that's something, yeah. Or everybody gets it and doesn't get it back again. I don't know how it works, but
yeah, I mean, it's it's a difficult situation because I don't know how it's going to get back to normal as far as because especially metal, it's a different thing than a lot of other music genres. It's a wild crowd. And the whole thing.
Yeah, you guys can't play the drive-in theater as easy as some.
Yeah.
Like
we could.
I was talking to Matt Byrne from Hatebreed earlier in an interview, and we were talking about how about a drive-in Hatebreed concert, but you'd kind of have to have a demolition derby in front of the stage.
Yeah.
Like getting bumper cars or something to smash into them. Maybe I don't know. How are we going to recreate the mosh pit?
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm hoping for the best. I'm hearing stories that there's a vaccine in the process, and so we'll see what happens. And it's nice to be home. Yeah, it's nice to be home. Of course, masks. I love being home, but I miss being out there. Obviously, So
I tell you the truth. I've been working steady with this store. Not that it's hard work, but it's work I enjoy. But I'm 59 years old, and when I was home, I got used to being home. Like you start being, knowing the virus. Some people are unaffected at all, but I'm affected. Yeah. I'm a caregiver to my wife, and I'm like, if I see somebody coming, I'm like, it's making us turn in. It's changing a lot of people's psychological value.
Sure. Yeah.
And metal was a tough road already. I mean, for getting people out to live shows already, we would talk about the Chance in Poughkeepsie. It's just shut down, of course, now. And we feel bad for the Chance because the Chance, the guy that owns the Chance is other business. He owns a gym.
Right. That's the same thing.
The Chance has a show still booked July 17th. Supposedly New York State will be in phase 4 by then if everything goes smoothly. And you will be allowed to go to movie theaters, and I guess you will be allowed to go to a concert still. But I'm sure they'll be telling you to stay a little bit away, so probably won't be a mosh pit, but I know they have a show scheduled. I think it's July 17th still, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, we hope for the best, of course.
Yes, of course. So, throughout your career, do you have any memorable moments from tours, or let's say favorite tours you were on with other bands, or maybe certain festivals or shows that just stand out in your memory of an awesome festival or whatever, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff. I mean,
yeah,
we're not where to start, but I would say probably some of my favorite memories is early on. When you just start doing this, when you first start traveling and stuff. Because nowadays, when you tour, it's just a normal thing, But when I first started traveling, I remember when I did the Day of Death Festival in 1990 in Buffalo, New York.
Yes.
And that was like the first, I guess, death metal festival ever, So it was like Autopsy, Cannibal Corpse, my old band Agoraphobia, Immolation, Mortician, Suffocation, Deceased, played Repulsion, Incantation. So that was like a really, something I always remember because
it was like a fresh thing too. Then it was like the beginning of death metal, and you had all the heavy hitters sounded like they were pretty much listed. That's when Cannibal was still from Buffalo, right?
Yeah. That was early on, before they even had a record out or anybody had a record out back then, So except for Autopsy had their record out. I mean, just stuff like that, meeting the guys that you're pen pals with, because we were all, knew each other from the underground tape trading and
Sure,
stuff like
sure.
that in the 80s, you know. So that always sticks out. 'Cause,
Before the internet, when people traded cassettes and stuff.
yeah, that for me there's nothing more exciting when you get something in the mail that you never heard, or you wrote to send away for a fanzine, and trading with different different people, like even Mayhem, who we toured with a couple of years ago.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
I used to trade with the original guitar player Euronymous in the
Oh
80s.
wow.
So me and him were pen pals.
That's an
Um,
interesting. Yeah, that's
so
interesting for sure.
yeah, but it's those were exciting times. Just buying vinyl. Like I remember, you buy the record, you look at the album cover, you look at the back,
Yeah. And you
and
didn't know what you were getting till you got it home.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
was
So,
right there. I mean, of course, I used to go to Rock and Roll Heaven North,
oh, rock, yeah,
which was the
Johnny
offshoot of
Z.
Rock and Roll Heaven, which I was at Rock and Roll Heaven also. But Rock and Roll Heaven North was up here in Warwick, and that was before I opened. And then I used to do fairs and flea markets at the time. And one day I had a heat stroke, and my mom was a nurse, and she was like, "I'm an only kid," so she was very overprotective. And she said,
Yeah,
"Well, that's it for you now." She didn't know that. Well, I guess she probably didn't know. I think I went to see a band at Club Manhattan's. I don't know if you remember that club. I
uh-huh.
think it was Loudness. I saw Loudness or someone playing. It might have been Motorhead, and I pretty much came right from the show. It was a
Wow.
hot summer day, and I passed out at the flea market that day. And my mom automatically said, "Well, hey, you're going to open a store." And
Yeah.
I opened the store, and here we are in 2020,
Wow.
2020, and that was in 1985. But that's how I got my start. But then, of course, Rock and Roll Heaven North, I think, might have got a little upset with me because I used to go and buy all my records from them. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, I was the competition. And I never really meant to be their competition because I respected them. So.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. And plus, that's a success that you've been doing this for all these years, having, the
Somehow,
record.
we've twisted it and bent the store over the years because, I mean, in the 80s when we opened up, we had records and we had cassettes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I was kind of stubborn. I had a girl that worked. She was a intern at Metal Blade. She was from Middletown. She started working for me. Her name was Kara, and she said,
Uh,
"Steve, you got to carry CDs." And
uh,
all of a sudden, all right, we started getting CDs in, and then the record bins slowly started disappearing. And for a while, we were a comic book store too. We opened up in the late 80s when that whole Batman craze and everything. We started selling comics. In the 90s, we got involved with the pro wrestling industry a lot. We were selling a lot of wrestling shirts. So you got to sometimes roll with the changes. And then
sure.
we
Sure.
always had the pinball rooms too. Like we sold off all of them in the late 90s during the recession, and kept a couple, and we made the head shop bigger. So like when we
Yeah.
first opened, we didn't have the head shop. Now we've got a big head shop too. So we're a head shop, record shop. It's
That's
almost
all
like a
cool stuff,
department,
though.
the
Yeah.
department store for degenerates, I used to
Yeah.
call it.
Yeah. And
The
I
fun,
miss that, going to the record stores when I was a kid,
yeah.
especially when I got into like heavy metal and stuff like that, and
No,
punk and things like that. When you discovered all this, amazing music, but you didn't know what you were getting too. So
oh yeah, that whole thing. I can remember going to a place called Record City in Poughkeepsie and getting the Metallica Kill 'Em All album.
yeah,
I remember buying the Iron Maiden first album just by the cover. I mean, of course,
yeah,
and
same
then
thing
you'd
with
get some real winners like those, but then you'd bring some home and like, oh, the cover looked great, but
me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's just, and the way they look too, I remember getting like Seven Churches, Possessed, and I saw a photo of them in a magazine and Possessed. All
like
right,
this,
I gotta get Satan, a great band. That's a great comeback record too, actually.
like this one, you'd probably buy by the covers. Like that looks pretty cool. Yeah. Nowadays, the kids nowadays have no idea what we're talking about because
Yeah,
now it's
yeah.
easy as a fingertip, YouTube or whatever
But
else.
I still buy vinyl.
Thank you.
So, and I listen to it. Me and my wife are both really into vinyl, and
Excellent. Yeah.
you know,
So I guess one like final question: what are your interests out of music? Do you collect toys? Do you like? I don't know. What else? What else
um,
floats your boat? I guess.
you know, I don't know. I'm pretty boring.
Pretty
Boring
boring.
person
So
these
not too many
days.
hobbies.
When I was younger, I was a bit wilder, but I'm kind of a homebody. I just like kind of hanging at home with the wife and
Good.
watching movies and stuff like that. And when I can, I like go fishing or whatever, things like that.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, pretty much it's music and guitars and stuff. I'm really
Cool.
into
Cool.
owning different guitars and stuff like that. So that's still music, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I'm pretty low key. My excitement is getting out on the road, obviously, and that's when
Yeah.
So when
Right
I was
now, we're
younger, it's a
learning
different
how to
story.
stay home for a little while.
Yeah, when I was younger, with like, I'm sure you can relate. Same thing. When you're younger, things are different, But
Oh
as you
yeah.
get older, you just kind of you appreciate being home and
If we
relaxing.
were both in our 20s right now, we'd be probably, wow, let's just go to the chance in July. But now I'm like, I don't know about
Yeah,
that right now.
yeah.
I'm not going to be the first one going out to shows. I finally started going out, doing a little grocery shopping and stuff by myself with a good mask on because I had to get out and do something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in, visiting my parents right now in Delaware, so which is nice because we're out in the woods here basically, and
Good.
so it's nice. You don't have to worry about any of that, tons of people or anything. Go take a walk, enjoy
Yeah,
the
that's why I'm
outside.
lucky here. I have my friends in New York City. They always tell whenever they heard me complaining, during the pandemic and saying like, well, we'll trade you, Steve. You come down to our apartment and we'll help you out. Like that.
Yeah, I
I
mean, I
don't know
live in
how lucky
DC.
we have it being out in the country right now to
Yeah,
get
I
out.
live in DC, so I was lucky to kind of get out of there,
Yeah.
all the craziness and stuff like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I mean, I'm a homebody pretty much. I'm pretty, it's like, when I go out and tour, it's a different story. It's like, but
Sure.
when you tour so much, you want to be home. You want to be home with family and stuff like that. And I could say that for all of us in the band. So
For sure. Well, we can only hope that we blink and this year's over and we move into something cooler. Or
yeah,
something
I
that's
mean,
kind of normal or we're the new normal, but we can go to shows and
yeah.
get the records coming out, this music
But
will never die.
but we're still keeping busy. I mean, hopefully we have the all the songs ready for the record soon, so we can get in and do the new Immolation. I have another band called Shadows that I've been recording with, and
Yeah.
that's something totally. It's not death metal. It's more like heavy dark rock kind of vibe.
Okay.
And so I'm doing that, and then I think we'll hopefully this weekend we're gonna start mixing that record, and then I'll put that out. So just trying to be as
Cool.
productive as possible, writing and recording and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's all you can be now is try to be productive and try to stay off the media and everything else right now. And
Yeah,
keep your head up
so,
right now. This whole thing.
yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I think for it's sometimes if you think about things too much, you can
Oh
get a
yeah.
little nuts. So the important thing is, I think, is to try and stay positive as possible and just figure out, okay, instead of panicking, figure out how we can deal with the situation and how we can overcome the situation.
Of
You know,
course. Make things better.
so yeah. So, but hopefully soon we get through all this and get back to normal. You can get the store reopened and.
Well, the store is open now. We opened
Oh,
it
it's open.
last Tuesday, and we
Oh,
are
great.
in phase 2 in New York State,
Okay.
where we are. And yes, you can come in. If you were in town, you can come in and go shopping. Well, I'm
Oh, that's
closed
awesome.
Tuesdays right now. We were open 7 days a week, and
Yeah.
we're filming this on a Tuesday. That's why I'm in here with no mask or anything. But
Yeah.
we're open 12 to 7 every day but Tuesday. So
Okay.
I've been in and out, but we have the whole store. I guess, we can almost show you a little bit of it.
Yeah.
That's the record section, metal sections here, classic rock.
Yeah.
Got pinball machines in the back,
Nice.
and then
My
we
kind of
have
place.
the smoke shop on this side.
Nice.
And so we are, it was a good weekend. A lot of people just being pent up, staying home. We're coming out, and
Yeah.
going shopping. And so, you know, it's just, and you know, of course, a lot of younger kids are shopping here. And, you know, when you're, like we said, when you're in your 20s, you think you're pretty invincible, especially with this virus. It doesn't seem to affect them. So
I don't know how I
they're gonna go
survived.
out.
So,
Well,
yeah,
anyhow,
that's great, man.
anything you want to add before we wrap it up? How do we, Immolation, if people want to check out Immolation, how do we find Immolation? Is there a website or just a YouTube? Or?
So we have a Facebook page, we have Instagram page, we have also, you can find our, you type in, I guess, Immolation web store, you can find our web store. So
okay,
we are selling merch. We have a lot of new merch printed up, so we have plenty of merch. So if people, you know, want to support the band, obviously you can go to the Immolation web store. And yeah, so we're just right now we're just trying to figure out. We've got to get the rest of the songs written and get together, rehearse, and then get in the studio. You know, so
sure.
Hopefully within the next couple of months we have the record done, and you know, hopefully we can get it out, you know, as soon as possible.
Yeah, let's hope, you know, like as we're starting to move and states are starting to open and not learn how to do it safely, maybe we can, some of these record plants and stuff will get open because, you know, we're just talking with Hatebreed and talking with Immolation. Everybody's in a holding pattern. It didn't have everything done already. So we're going to have a lull of no new music for the summer months, I think.
Yeah, but I think I could, you know, I think for most of us touring musicians and stuff, you know, everybody right now is just taking advantage of the time to sit home and write music.
That's
and
true.
Try to make the best records we can, you know. So.
And during angry times, sometimes death metal and hardcore.
Yeah,
some of the best ideas I can remember, like in the '80s when we were going through.
It's a positive. Music is a positive force, and it's therapeutic, you know. And you know, I don't know where I would be without it, to be honest with you.
Amen to that.
You know, just like the other day, I remember I picked up the guitar and immediately I felt better. So, you know, and that's the thing, you know, music brings people together. You know, and a person that's traveled all throughout the world, you know, people that come from different religious backgrounds or whatnot, you know, in the end of the day, music unifies everybody.
It does. It really does. Brian Slagle was mentioning that earlier. I do a little show with him occasionally. So I guess we'll wrap this up. If you like what you see, could you please subscribe to my hit subscribe, hit like, comment on it. And you got any questions for us? Comment. I'm sure Alex will look into it if you got any questions for him. And you can see us at Rock Fantasy in downtown Middletown, New York. You can check us out at the web at rockfantasy.com. And we can also find us on Instagram at Rock Fantasy Concert Shop and Facebook. And hope everyone stays safe and hangs out, takes care of everybody. You know, take care of your brother during this, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And your metalhead brothers and your hardcore brothers and hippie brothers or whatever else we got here.
Yep. And yeah, everybody stay safe. Stephen, thank you for you know, the interview, and
thank you for coming on.
Hopefully
you know,
business starts getting back to normal
game
again, you know, for all of us.
People think I'm the dude from Wayne's World, so it's like party on, Gar. All right, guys, have a good one.
All right, cool. Cheers.